Welcome to the Enjoy a Cancer-Free Life podcast with Dr. Ted Koren, best-selling author of Cancer is Natural, So is the Cure. More than care for patients, Dr. Koren transforms lives. He teaches people an all-natural way to heal from and address the causes of cancer using the tools we all have within ourselves. On the podcast, Dr. Koren interviews other thought leaders in natural healing who share insights and information to help you live longer and better.
Welcome, everybody, to Cancer is Natural, So is the Cure podcast series. I'm Dr. Ted Koren. Every podcast, we like to introduce you to some absolutely unique, amazing people that can make a tremendous difference in your health. And today I'm honored and very pleased to introduce my friend Michael Evangel. Michael Evangel is one of the most amazing people I've ever met. He's multi-talented. And why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself so as an introduction? People want to know why I'm so excited to know you.
Sure. Well, I was born in 1954, so you are a little older than me, so I have to respect you because you are my senior. And I was born in Englewood Hospital. Actually, at the same time, I was in the nursery there with John Travolta. He was born a few hours before me.
Did you guys chat or anything? Do you remember?
I saw a kid dancing around the bassinet. I was wondering who it was, but it was him. But anyway, maybe I was his first friend without him knowing it. But I didn't find that out until I was an adult. And I grew up in northern New Jersey. I started exercising a lot when I was in third grade, getting involved with a lot of physical activities, and started studying nutrition in high school. Became a chiropractic patient when I was a teenager after a car accident. I was told by medical doctors I should see a psychiatrist, and then the chiropractor got me better.
Why?
And then I was told that it was psychosomatic because I believed I was going to get better.
What was psychosomatic? I don't understand.
My improvement.
What was wrong? What had happened to you?
I got a whiplash injury. I was rear-ended by a drunk driver going quite a bit faster than me with his lights off in the middle. It was at night, so I didn't see the car coming up in my rear view. And then I had a lot of different physical maladies. I was already studying martial arts then, and I had a hard time throwing a kick. I had paresthesia in my left leg.
Paresthesia is weird nerve sensations.
Yes.
Okay,
and then,
so non-doctors are going to be watching this.
Right. And then I was going to explain that in a second, but you beat me to it. Then I was very frustrated. I heard that chiropractors were quacks and that they were a little crazy and that I shouldn't go there, but I was desperate. So a friend of mine who I knew from the gym from working out took me to his chiropractor, and then from the first adjustment, I was hooked. It's good to get hooked on good things instead of bad. And I felt it really improved my physical performance, and eventually I decided to become a chiropractor. I was a school teacher, taught science for 6 years, science K through 12. I also have a master's degree in environmental health. And since I really graduated chiropractic school, it reminds me of when students get their first degree black belt, because then they really start to learn. And I had one of my martial arts students, his father is a chiropractor, and he said, I really need an adjustment. He said to me back in 1986, when I was just at a chiropractic school, I really need an adjustment. So I thought he was hinting that he wanted me to adjust him. Little did I know, when I offered to adjust him, he says, are you kidding me? He said, I wouldn't let you touch me for at least 5 years after you graduate. I was highly insulted. About 5 years later, I realized what he meant.
Isn't that true with all of us? We have no idea what we don't know. After hundreds or thousands of patients, we get immeasurably better without even being aware how limited we were in the beginning.
And one of my favorite quotes. At least
we're admitting it, right?
We admit it, right. One of my favorite quotes is, we don't know what we don't know, but the first step to learning what we don't know is realize we don't know it.
Now, in addition to the healing work, and I found this fascinating, and I've seen this in other healers, you also got very distinguished in martial arts and trained the FBI.
I worked with the FBI and worked with the Secret Service, U.S. Marshals, not Homeland Security, I should say, Customs Police, because I did a lot of my work before the Department of Homeland Security was established, which was after 9/11. It's interesting because the Secret Service used to be the Department of Treasury, and now they're in the Department of Homeland Security, because besides guarding the president and past presidents and other dignitaries. Secret Service was originally started to investigate counterfeiting.
I didn't know that.
Counterfeiting and also credit card fraud that they are involved in. So very few of the Secret Service agents actually protect the president. So I've worked with a lot of federal agencies and local police, state police, up to the federal level. I've also taught a lot of weapon disarms, psychology of confrontation, what to do if you're confronted, not yet attacked, because, you know, the basic thoughts in general having to do with life is that we never lose a confrontation we're not in. So it's much better to try to negotiate your way out of a situation before it becomes confrontational, whether it's a physical confrontation, a legal confrontation, whatever the confrontation might be, because no matter how good you are, how good you think you are, there's always a chance that you might not persevere because you might make a mistake. Somebody might get lucky. There might be an X factor that's intangible that you didn't consider. So we always have to err on the side of caution and avoid confrontation. I know in your life you've been in several confrontations with one federal agency in particular that, and one doctor in particular tried to basically put you out of business because you have some of the best, if not the best, documented chiropractic writings in the world. And if you were taken down, everybody else would fall like the proverbial dominoes.
Yeah, thankfully, we've won every one of our cases.
Yes.
And, yeah, this week, nobody's suing me. Isn't that nice?
It's a good week.
It's a good
week. Busy trying to stay alive.
Now, people are probably saying, what does this have to do with cancer is natural, so is a cure? But in fact, it has a lot to do with it on a few different levels. One is the idea and the thesis of the book is that the body creates a tumor for a purpose.
Yes.
And the tumor is our friend. It's doing a job to sequester toxins and poisons. And,
exactly.
And the body's, and therefore fighting it and confronting it and trying to destroy it and kill it is really not necessarily the best way to approach it. You want to work with it to defuse the situation. Is that a good way to put it?
Exactly. That's like the salt mines out in wherever they are, out in Utah, someplace out there, that they take nuclear waste and bury in the salt mines to sequester it. The body takes toxins and puts it into fat cells and eventually creates a tumor to sequester the toxins. And a few things that we've discussed in the past, that nothing happens in the human body by accident and everything has a purpose, including tumors. And what I don't buy, and I take a huge issue with it, a lot of times you'll hear people say, oh, it was just bad luck, he got cancer. There's no bad luck involved in cancer. Just because you think somebody's healthy, they're not. Because healthy people do not get cancer because they're able to get rid of the toxins through the body's natural detoxification strategies. And the other thing we talked about a few years back is that the only reason we're not at our peak of optimal health is a combination of excesses and deficiencies. And it's a very profound thought, because it comes down to it. And I challenge anybody to ever, and nobody's come up with it yet, tell me anything that's not an excess or deficiency that's affecting somebody's health as far as a disease, a malady, a disorder. Because everything has a reason why it happens.
And you try to bring the person into balance so they can, well, the balance is you give them what they need and they get rid of what they don't need. It's a yin yang, I guess you can say.
Right, because the greatest creation in the universe, as far as we know, is the gift that God gave us, the human body. Unless there's a version 1.2 somewhere else, some other distant galaxy far, far away. But I don't think so. Because God doesn't make mistakes.
When we talked about detoxification, I was really impressed with sort of like one of your new discoveries that you've worked with, and that is tourmaline. As a way of using it for detox,
right,
and for healing. So a lot of people don't know what tourmaline is. I know at our KST seminars, you've given a marvelous, cartoon part of it and PowerPoint presentation. Can you give us a little explanation of what tourmaline is and
absolutely
you discovered?
Tourmaline is a semi-precious stone, but it's not just one stone. It's a group of different stones, and they're different colors depending upon what elements make up the tourmaline. And the tourmaline crystals, they can be like prisms, they can be like columns or cylinders in shape. And what's very unique about each crystal is that it has a north and south pole. And anything that has a north and south pole, whether it be the planet Earth, creating the Van Allen belt to protect us against cosmic radiation, or a bar magnet. We probably all done that experiment as a kid to, put the paper and you put the bar magnet and you sprinkle the iron filings on top and you see the pattern of the magnet. But the tourmaline particles have a north and south pole and give off an energy field. We've talked about this before, being the Schumann resonance. The Schumann resonance is the interaction of the Earth with the ionosphere, giving off this energy. So one of my theories is that people get space sick, not so much because of the lack of gravity, but the lack of the Schumann resonance. And it's 7.83 hertz, but it could be more or less, it varies.
So what you've done is you've taken tourmaline and put it into nano size, microscopic size, and each microscopic bit still has these properties of a north and south pole and generates a field.
Yes.
And when you've infused them into, fabrics, clothing, bedding.
Now we had our company, FIR Industries, and my business partner, I was a doctor. Sometimes he thinks he's a doctor, but he's not. Fred Dumbrow, he came up with this technique to take microscopic particles and adhere them to fibers, fabrics, and textiles, being antimicrobial or a mineral. And we have a patent which is being processed by the patent office now for this technology, because we're the first company in the world that's figured out how to do this. Now, 3 different energies are given off by tourmaline. First of all, it absorbs body heat and converts it into far infrared energy. And far infrared saunas have been used for detoxification for thousands of years before they even knew what far infrared was.
So this is really an ancient used. This stone has been used since ancient time.
It's been used all over the world by Native Americans, and it's found in the United States, in Maine. It's found a big tourmaline, mines in Maine. And a number of my patients have got there and sent me pictures of all the stores selling tourmaline.
Tourmaline springs, right?
Tourmaline. And yes, also in California, tourmaline mines. Brazil has a lot, but all over the world, every continent has found tourmaline.
And traditionally, they've been used for healing purposes all over the world.
In Africa, Asia, China uses a lot of it. We do a lot of the lion's share of the research for tourmaline has been done in Asia, China, and Japan.
So when people wear a product, a hat, clothing, a scarf, or sleep with the bedding that's infused with tourmaline, their body will give off regular heat, infrared, and then the blanket will give off far infrared back into them. So they're like...
Right. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, but can be transformed from one form to another, as Sir Isaac Newton told us. So what happens is that the body heat, it's a conversion of body heat into far infrared, and the far infrared is radiated back into the body, and that promotes healing. But that's the surface area phenomena.
Well, this is detoxification also.
Detoxification. By surface area, if you have a stone, the stone is very low surface area. But if you go from a centimeter to a millimeter, and then you go from a millimeter to a micron, from a millimeter to a micron is 1/1000th, and a micron to a nanometer is, again, 1/1000th. So if you have a cube, and these are irregularly shaped particles, they're not cubes, but if you had a cube and you're going to build a micron cube from nanometer cubes, it would take 1,000 times 1,000 times 1,000. And without using my fingers or toes, that's 1 billion, because I don't have that many fingers and toes. So 1 billion, that's, not infinite, but it's a lot more surface area than you'd have with the next level up, which would be the micron particles.
So when you adhere these products into the fabrics, now you have socks, scarves, blankets, hats.
Tape, kinesio tape is a thermophotonic conversion, heat to light. Now that's only the first energy. The second energy, any type of rubbing, pushing, pulling, tapping, mechanical energy, generates negative ions. Negative ions scavenge free radicals, make the body more alkaline, and act as a natural antioxidant. And from everything I've read, it's anti-aging. The FDA doesn't recognize it as being anti-aging.
Not yet.
Right? Not yet. But, what happens is that it takes decades for the truth to finally be realized and accepted as common knowledge. And sometimes centuries it takes.
So you have the far infrared quality. So a person
Yes.
is literally sleeping with a sauna or wearing a sauna to help detox.
Right.
The piezoelectric effect, I guess you'd call that.
Yes, exactly. For changing mechanical energy into electrical energy and negative ions.
Which benefits the person.
Yes, and then the third energy, which I believe is the most powerful of any of those energies, is that Schumann resonance, the energy field, that mysterious energy field that's given off by each and every little tiny particle.
And that sort of harmonizes a person with the energy of the earth, I believe. It's a harmonic of the Schumann wave.
Animals pick up this energy, like in a pet mats that we make for animals. Now, rabbits are they're not stupid rabbits, but rabbits don't migrate. A rabbit is born and dies usually within a 1 mile radius in nature. They're not very adventurous like cats and dogs. But cats and dogs, they can migrate. And if anybody's seen The Incredible Journey, how they find their way home. As a matter of fact, I was reading a lot because one of my friends had flying squirrels, a problem with flying squirrels. And flying squirrels, I was reading about them. And if you take the flying squirrel and you release them in the wild, which is illegal in New Jersey to release in the wild, but killing it is against my, ethical beliefs to kill the animal. So if I get prosecuted for releasing a flying squirrel in the wild, so be it. But you should put them in a box without being able to see the sun because they can find their way back. Studies have been done, and they put little notches on their ears that they find their way back sometimes 30 miles away, back to the same house. They're amazing. But anyway, dogs and cats can pick up this. And originally when we had our blankets, one of my patients told me that, the dog wouldn't get off the blanket. So had 6 dogs, bought a blanket, cut up the blanket into 6 pieces and gave a piece of the blanket to each dog, but they still went on her bed to be on her blanket. And then we started making the pet mats for dogs.
So now the animals actually are attracted to it because of its healing qualities.
Well, I didn't interview them, but that's what we believe.
That's what you believe.
But
healing
qualities.
Tell me about animals that had been injured that would go to the mat. And
absolutely. They can sense energies that humans simply cannot. But we can do things that they can't do either, like, manual dexterity.
So I'd like people to know if they have any health problems, anything chronic or even acute, really, that how the tourmaline products, and tell us about the different products, how it can help them.
Well, first of all, I believe my theory, as you know, I have a lot of theories, works on mitochondrial dysfunction. Now, the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell that burn fuel to not just sugar, it can burn fat also, and fat burns a lot cleaner than carbs, by the way. That's why the ketogenic diet is so good, but you'll probably do another show on that.
Yes.
The mitochondria are involved in producing energy. And when your mitochondria sluggish don't work properly, we don't have enough energy. Now we need energy. Number one, we need energy to do the job the cell is supposed to do. But before that, it has to stay alive to do its job. Dead cells don't work. And then the third thing is can heal if there's energy left over, but a lot of times it doesn't have enough energy left over to heal.
Now this is fascinating because of mitochondria, well, cancer has been considered a mitochondrial disease or disorder.
Exactly, a metabolic disorder, not a, in your book you talk about experiments where they swap the nucleus from a cancer cell into a healthy cell, and that cell remains healthy.
All right, cancer is not really a genetic disease. The genetics are downriver, you could say, from the true cause, the toxicity, etc.
But when you swap the cytosol, which is, some people say cytoplasm, but the cytosol contains the mitochondria, you put that from a cancerous cell into a healthy cell, even with a healthy nucleus there, it becomes cancerous.
Right,
so that by itself,
not the genes.
Right, that by itself is proof that is a metabolic disorder. So you have autism, dementia, you have Alzheimer's, autoimmune diseases, cancer, diabetes, cardiovascular disease. All these things are diseases ancient people didn't have that much of that modern people do. And part of the whole modern syndrome, two things, mitochondrial dysfunction and inflammation, are hallmarks of all of those so-called modern disorders and diseases.
So how does that relate to tourmaline?
Well, it's my theory that what tourmaline does is it helps to reduce mitochondrial dysfunction and improve the function of the mitochondria. And what actually happens with the infrared is that they think that the calcium channels open up or cytochrome C oxidase. They're not sure exactly what, but something happens to the cell to basically energize the cell, turn it into like the Energizer bunny, even though we're not selling batteries here. Basically takes something that's like a lazy bee and turns it into a busy bee. And busy bees get a lot more done than lazy bees.
Well, anytime the body has more energy, it can go into healing, detoxification, repair, rejuvenation.
And I'm glad you brought that up because people know, for example, when they're coming down with something, if they're in tune with the body, because they feel listless, tired, run down. And people say, oh, I might be coming down with something. Maybe I have to rest more, eat better, get less stress, get out in the sun. Because vitamin D is extremely important for cancer, as well as impacting at least 20% of the human genetic makeup. And now we're in the midst of the whole COVID-19 situation, which is another story for another day. But I've been talking about this from a few months ago, and studies were just done recently to show that the people with the lowest levels of vitamin D have the highest incidence of COVID-19. And there's cytokines, which are chemicals given off from inflammation and the overreaction of the immune system to the virus, and that creates a lot of inflammation and fluid in the lungs.
So
vitamin D helps to combat.
I understand. Can you give a few reasons why someone with a chronic illness would want to use tourmaline and how they would use it?
Absolutely. Just anywhere in the body helps them detoxify and helps the mitochondria to function better, and actually helps to increase serotonin production, which is the feel-good hormone that Prozac increases. But Prozac is a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor because the body reprocesses the old serotonin because old serotonin isn't good. Just like the body breaks down old bone cells, osteoclasts digest old bone, and osteoblasts lay down new bone. And all the osteoporosis drugs stop that from happening. So you don't want to interfere with the innate intelligence of the human body. You want to work with it and enhance it. And just like all the homeopathic vaccinations, inoculations, what they're doing is that they're giving the energy, but not the toxins. Because the whole theory of vaccination is a sound one, to expose the body to something that is going to build immunity. Like Bobby Kennedy was saying the other day, I saw a video with him. He says, I'm for vaccination, but I'm for it, but only for healthy ones. And basically, there are no healthy vaccines out there right now.
Well, the way we immunize ourselves best is when we breathe in germs and it goes through the nasal oropharynx and all, and our body reacts to it. That's why so much of our immune system is in our nose and our throat and our digestive system.
Right. And there's a huge difference between vaccination and immunization, because vaccination is a forced immunization. But every day we immunize ourselves, because immunization is just the immune system reacting to some sort of pathogen. And, you know, as far as all the white blood cells and immunoglobulins, all the different levels of immunity that we have. And now the latest news today is that CoV-2, which produces COVID-19, it mutated, and now they're saying the people that had it might not be immune to the new strain, which makes us very reluctant to get a vaccine, because the vaccine, just like the flu vaccine, is for one strain, is not going to help the next that comes around.
Exactly, and it's also toxins as well. A study came out in the journal Vaccine that in January, just a few months ago, people that are vaccinated with the flu shot have a 36% increased chance of getting coronavirus.
Dr. Judy Mitovich, I just saw her speaking about that yesterday in a video, and she was saying she wants to see the study to see how many people with COVID-19 did not get the flu shot.
I would
And
love to see that study also.
her
Oh, by
theory
the
is
way,
that,
before I forget,
Sorry.
and I hate to interrupt because
No.
we don't have that much time and you've got so
Okay.
much great material. You had donated, I think, 50 or so blankets to residents of a nursing home with
Oh,
that
there's a lot of, we've been
tourmaline
doing a lot,
blankets.
actually, more so than that. What we did was we donated some blankets to an autism center in New York. This is a better story. I'm not sure if I even shared this
I
with
never
you.
heard that. Tell me.
And these kids, to do their vitals, they had to restrain them to do their vitals, to take their blood pressure, the pulse, the blood oxygen saturation. You know, they had to strap them down. They gave them the tourmaline blanket because it increases serotonin production naturally. And all 4 children, they did this. They left them on the blanket for 15 minutes and they took their vital signs without incident.
Now, what happened with the nursing home people also?
Well, the nursing homes, we're working with veterans homes and nursing homes, and what's happening with them is, you know, great results with them as far as their pain, as well as a lot of their health problems. And we found empirically that people with type 2 diabetes respond very well and drop their blood sugar. I want to do studies about this because we cannot claim to cure anything, because Jim Turner, who's our attorney, who is your attorney, helped you with your situations. You know, it's recognized by the FDA as a general health and wellness product, and we can't make any medical claims or clinical claims. However, people, according to First Amendment, they can still say what happened anecdotally with their situation.
So what happened with all these people in the nursing homes and the veterans? Didn't you loan them blankets and they refused to return them?
I can't confirm or deny that.
Oh, I thought you had told me that you loaned a whole bunch to see how they'd respond, and they were sleeping better and feeling better and didn't want to give them back to you.
Well, this happens quite often when people are lent them. When patients of mine or different people lend out their blanket, they usually have to buy another one because the person refuses to give it back or offers to pay them for it.
And you said that clinically people sleep better with the blankets?
Yes, and it's my theory too, because from what I've seen, the people that have the Apple Watches with the different sleep cycles, because you go a cycle 1, 2, 3, 4, back to 2, then REM sleep, and that's one complete sleep cycle. It can increase stage 4 sleep and REM sleep. Now, Dr. Fred Bishey, who was on my Super Mike show, he said that stage 4 sleep is the body's way of doing dialysis every night. So if you can increase stage 4 sleep as well as REM sleep, which categorizes short-term to long-term memory, you can do that, you can really help people. But as people age, their stage 4 sleep diminishes. Women, not so much as men. We have much less stage 4 sleep than women do as we age. And part of my theory about that, why men die sooner than women, is because we have less stage 4 sleep. So this could really be something that would help longevity. And we have to do a lot of clinical trials to prove these things. And one of my goals is that eventually we be deemed get an A code. If people don't know what that means, it's a durable medical equipment code, so that the insurance companies will actually pay to have people get tourmaline blankets. That would be nice.
That would be great. In addition to blankets, do you have other things as well?
Yes, with the blankets we're going to be coming up with a whole line of sportswear, because we found that people have gone back to us, increases athletic performance and recovery after workouts too. But blankets and scarves and pillow covers and tape and wristbands, you know, and socks, to name a few products.
And how about the Torma Balm? Is that something you
Balm too, right? And that is tourmaline, and we have I call it the leaded and unleaded. We have one that has CBD and one that does not.
Leaded and unleaded, I like that.
Leaded and unleaded, right?
And if people want to find out more about your products and you, how would they reach you?
Well, my personal website is Dr. Evangel, DrEvangel.com. And just remember EV, then Angel.
That's your personal website.
Evangel.com, right? And for all the tourmaline products, it's tourmahealth.com. That's TOURMA health, one word, .com.
Okay, hopefully on our transcript we'll have this in it so people can
Right.
know how to reach you. And you are the science officer for the tourmaline
Right.
products.
Vice President and Chief Scientific Officer.
Okay, great.
Right.
Well, this is very intriguing, and I've always found everything you've done to be really amazing. And
Thanks.
and people like your products a lot. You must have thousands of satisfied customers by now.
Well, almost every customer has been a satisfied customer, but you can't satisfy everybody in life. But if you can satisfy over 90% of the people, you're doing something right.
Well, I especially like your products because just wearing them or sleeping with them improves detoxification, gives people better sleep. They feel more comfortable, and it's beneficial for their whole body for detox healing and rejuvenation. And it doesn't take much work to lay down with a blanket.
Doesn't take much work at all.
Great. Well, Dr. Evangel, thank you. Mike, I'm not used to calling you Dr. Evangel, but thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Koren, also Ted.
I mentioned you in our cancer book, your products.
Yes.
And I hope more people will be turned on to your work.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
This show has been produced by Market Domination, LLC. To discover how you can have your own show completely done for you and turn it into a real published book and become the authority in your marketplace, go to www.marketdominationllc.com/podcast offer.